Hello everyone, I'm back with another video. In this question, we are going to learn about a machine coding question in ReactJS, that is infinite loading. This question was actually asked from one of my friend in a really big tech company. So implementing that is pretty simple, but on top of that, the optimizations we do to handle the API calls and the way we explain, the way we think while coding it is more important. So let's get started. So let me first show you what we are actually building. So it's like a list of products we are getting from one dummy API. And if I go to the bottom, let's say I have kept some threshold, like if I'm 20% up, then we'll make another API call and we are receiving the products. So let's say we have 100 products, so we are not actually fetching all 100 products together, but on page load we are fetching 10 products, and if user is scrolling to the bottom and reached at the end, so we are fetching more products ahead. This is a really famous machine coding round question, which is also called infinite loading. So let's get started. Let's see how we can create this. I have opened a code sandbox here where we'll be creating a React project. You can open any sandbox you are comfortable with, or you can use VS Code. Just build a normal React project on that, and here I'll name it infinite. So in this we are gonna use this API. So if you go on Google and just search dummy JSON, you'll get this website, and in this we have different APIs. We'll be using this products API. If I copy this and open it here, so it's giving like 30 products, total products are 194, skip is 0, limit is 30. I will explain you what a skip and limit means here. So let's say here I'm adding query params limit 10. So if I close this, I will have 10 items here, like 10 products we are fetching. And the products are, we can track the ID. Products are starting from ID 1. But here if I put skip 10, so products, like first 10 products will be skipped and we will be fetching next 10 products. This is what we actually want in our implementation, right? If I do skip 20, it will skip first 20 products, and from ID 21 we are starting. So we are going to use this API for our project. So I have a basic React project. Now in this, let's build here a component, that is product list. I'll create a new folder, components, and product list.jsx. So let's return a JSX from here. And let's just import it from here. Perfect. Here we will be rendering up. If I write here product list, we can see the output here, product list. Perfect. So our first task, so in any machine coding round, let's just break the question into parts. We have this API, and our first task is to just call the API, and limit, let's say we'll put 10, and skip will be 0. We will fetch first 10 products. After fetching 10 products, let's render it to the screen. Let's render it on the screen. So let's just create a function, fetch products. So here we have to make a API call. So we will put try catch data equals for the API call I'm using fetch and async await method. It will return us a promise, and for now let's just paste it as it is. Limit is 10 and skip we want is 0, because initially we want the products from the beginning. If I put skip 0 here, 0 here, so I'll get this response from id 1 to id 10. We will have 10 products in our response. If I close this, we can see we have 10 items. Also we have a total products information, which will be very useful moving forward. I will explain that moving forward. So we have fetch the response. Let's convert it to JSON. And let's have a state of products, set products. So in this use state we have an empty array, and whenever we get the response we will just set products. So in this response we have these keys, right? So we have to set this item into our use state. So I will say result. We are doing optional chaining for this result. We are just saving the products, only this much part, into our use state. And if there is any error, we can create state for error as well. Set error use state. It will be a message. So here we will do set error dot message. We should also have a state for loading when the API call is loading, to render any shimmer or any loader. So initially it will be false. This all states will be on the top, my bad. So here set loading to true. So initially we are making the API call, loading is true at that time, and when we can make it false is important. We don't usually use it, but when this API call is done, we can we can determine it inside the finally block. So set loading false. Got it. So this is done. We just have to call this API on our first render. This is just our thought process, just to get started. So let's just call this API. Perfect. So now we have to render it on our screen. So our first step is to use this API, call this API with limit 10, skip 0. Let's console it and see if our second part of problem is working. I'll open it in a big page and inspect. I'll refresh it and perfect. So the API call is getting called 2 times. This is because of strict mode in our application. So let's see, where is it? Yes, I'll just remove this. This strict mode is better in the development purposes, but of course in production it will not happen. So we have to check how will it work in production. So let's just refresh again, and now the API call should happen only 1 time. Perfect. So limit is 10, skip is 0, and we are getting the data properly. Let's just see the console also. Here we are getting so in our state we have saved the products only, not any other thing. So we are only getting the products inside. Let's just render it. So I'll remove this. Products dot map product with the help of map we are just rendering the product. So now again in with respect to interviews, this is a really good approach that we are not actually rendering here but creating a different component of it. This is what interviewers want to see, how we are writing, how clean the code is. So I'm gonna create a new component product. So product, let's just create here, it will return a JSX. Export default product. I hope you know that there are two types of export. This is the default one and we can export from here. Do mention in the comment section what are these two types of exports, when are these used mostly. So here is the product. We will just pass a prop of product info to it. So this is what the information of each product is. We will pass it inside and receive it here. Let's console it and check. This failed to fetch is actually code sandbox issue. It's not our code error. Let's just open it again. So in product info, we are getting a particular product info. Let's render it now. We'll have h2 tag, and here inside this we will render product title. Okay, perfect. So titles are here. Let's just render description. I hope description is there in the response. Let's just cross check. Yeah. Description. Also we can render image src. Think there will be thumbnail. Yes. So here product thumbnail. Alt tag, again this is important. If you are using image, make sure to use this. Product dot title. It's like what is the product about, so what is the image about, so that's why we are putting the title of the product in alt tag. Perfect. So we are getting all of it. Let's have price as well. Okay, so perfect. Our first three steps which we thought initially are done. We are calling it with limit 10, skip 0, and we are rendering into the screen. Now in terms of infinite loading, like we have to build infinite loading, right? In terms of that, what is our requirement? If I reach to the end, if I keep, let me refresh this. If I keep scrolling and maybe reach here, or maybe a little bit above of that, if we reach, so we should get our next set of products. This is our requirement, right? So I want to make a API call here, so to get the next 10 products. So we have to think how to do this. So let's just console when we reach like maybe 500 pixel above than bottom. I mean is like this is complete bottom here, right? But maybe a little bit above, 20% above, or a little above here, we can console something. If we are able to console, if we reach here and console something, we'll be able to make API calls, right? So this is what we are scrolling down, right? So we have to listen to scroll event. So let's just do this step. After this step, we will make API call instead of console, and in this API call we have to manage the skip, because we have to get the next 10 products, right? Here we are doing skip equals to 10, that is we are not skipping any products from starting. But let's say you want next 10 products. If you want next 10 products, you have to start the ID from 11, right? And if you want the ID from 11, the skip has to be 10. So if I do this, so the next API will have skip equals to 10, then the next API will have skip equals to 20. So yeah, this is what we have to manage in this step. And then we will do some API optimizations. We will see what optimizations in terms of, like, if we scroll, and so only one API call should happen because we are listening to the scroll event, so multiple API calls should not happen in that case. Then so in this we will handle no multiple API calls. Also, how many products we have? We have 194 products, right? So if I do 190 skip, so I will get 4 products. This 4 products is less than limit, so after that we have to stop making API calls. This is what will come if, let's say, product is less than or less than limit, then stop making API calls. Yeah, so let's get started. Our goal is next 3 steps are this. First, we have to console when we reach 500 pixel above the bottom. So let's see how can we do that. So we are scrolling here. We have to listen to scroll event. This is our goal. So use effect. Initially we will put a event listener here, window.add event listener scroll handle scroll. We'll create the function of course later, and on unmount of this we have to remove this event. So remove event listener. So let's create this scroll event, scroll function. So how to actually get that, right? This is the important part of this question, the main question. So how to check we are reaching at the bottom is, what is our current height of the screen? We have to get it, like the current viewport height, like from here till here, what is the height that we have to know. If I am scrolling down, so how much part is gone up, like from here till here, what was the height before and what is the total height? I hope you got it. If not, I will explain here. Let's say we have this full screen, okay, and this much part of screen is visible, like this is our viewport, okay. Now the above part is, we want whatever the above part is we have scrolled this before, right? This is our scrolled part. We have gone down and this we are able to see, and this much part is left to scroll, okay. And here is the 500 pixel above from bottom. At this place we have to console. So to get this point we will need full height first of all, right? So full height, and we will need the current height and the whatever we have scrolled above. If these two are equals to this total, it means we have reached to the bottom. And if these two are equals to the total minus 500, it means we have reached here. I hope you got a little bit idea, but you will understand it better if I explain you how to get those values. So let's talk about viewport height. Viewport height is whatever is visible. This one, this whole thing is the viewport height. So this we will get by window dot inner height. Let's console it. I'll refresh this and we will add this in console. Now if I scroll, you see 715 is the visible height. Let's try to reduce it and see if it changes. Now I have reduced the viewport height and I scroll it. So you can see if I reduced it, it became 589. Let's make it back to the one it was previous, and if I scroll now, it's 715. So now we understood how to get this middle value. Now I'm scrolling down, right? Now the above part, how to get this we will understand. Okay, so scroll Y. Scroll Y means this much we have scrolled above. That is window dot scroll Y. Again, let's console it. Scroll Y. So if I scroll this, you see if I keep scrolling, it gets increased, right? It means the upper part is getting bigger like this. So this is the upper part. So we got to know how to do that. And the total height of the window, like whatever is above, whatever is in the view, whatever is bottom, the total. So let's see, total height equals, that we can get with the help of document element dot scroll height. I know you must be thinking that we have to learn these things, like how to get it, but these are really basic things. Whatever is visible, whatever is gone, you will be using this in other questions as well. So yeah, you have to learn how to get these values. So again, let's console it. Of course, if I move up and down, the total height will remain same, even so it will not change. So if I move up, down, whatever, so the total height is the same. Perfect. So now if I scroll this to the really bottom, so this two addition should give us total height, right? Let's actually check that. If I do, let's console and see viewport wrong spelling, viewport height plus scroll Y. Let's console this together and let's console total height, and I'll scroll at the bottom and we'll see that it's matching or not. So yeah, if I scroll, this is the total of viewport and scroll Y. So it's 723 right now, and if I keep scrolling, so at the last you can see 49 means it's almost same. I mean, point difference, it's fine. So I think now you will be able to understand what I was explaining here. So these two, if I scroll at the very bottom, the viewport plus scroll y is equals to actually the total height. Now, but we want to console before 500 pixel. So let's see the comparison now. If let's just console at the very end now, and then we will see how to move it forward. Viewport height plus scroll y, if it is greater or equals total height. We are not putting equals because there might be some point difference or inconsistency, so that's why we are putting greater equals. If it is that, then here we have to make API call. This is at the very bottom. We are not consoling right now 500 pixels above. Let's just see if this works. So it's not printing. Let me see why. 4591 point. If this value is greater or equals to the total height, it is greater, then print. I have not saved it, I think. Okay, so let's just refresh it again. Okay, here I'll add a filter of make API call, and I'll scroll down, and yeah, if we reach bottom and it's printed that make API call. Perfect. But of course at the very bottom we don't have to make, so we can just subtract here, right? Minus 500. So 500 pixel, we are subtracting 500 pixels from total height, so at this point only it will console. It's pretty simple math. So let's see. You have to observe the scroll bar here. Now we will not go actually to the very bottom, but yeah, you see that at this point, a little above from bottom, we have console make API call. Perfect. So our this task console part is done again. Now we have to make the API call, the actual API call here. Okay, so API call is this, right? We can just call this function here like this, right? You must be thinking like that. We can call the function, but it has this limit and skip hard coded here, so it will again fetch first 10 products. We have to fetch next 10 products, right? So let's make a state of page, set page, use state. Initially it will be 1. We are on the first page right now. Now let's just think how will it work. Page 1 means what? That the skip value you want is 0. Page 2 means the skip value you want is 10. So how will you actually write the logic here? You have to think that. So let's just make this here, and we will add this page. So page is 1 initially, so let's do page minus 1. So it will become skip 0, and when page is 2, it will become 1. So 1, and then we have to multiply it by the limit. So limit also we should make a variable on top, and we can use it here as well. Limit, we can keep it configurable or anything you want, but I'll create it on the very top, limit as 10. Perfect. So now you have to think, when do we have to update this page, right? Initially the page is 1. Now if you come to the bottom, you have to make page 2. So instead of calling this function, we can just increase the page number here, right? Whatever was previous page, let's just increase it by 1 here, and in this use effect, we are calling this function for the very first time, but whenever the page updates, we have to make this a function trigger. So here, if the page is this, we will if the page changes, we will make the API call, and in API call also the skip will go according to the page number. If the page number is, let's say, 2, so 2 minus 1 times 10, that is skip will be 10 when the page number is 2. So yeah, I think it should work. So our second step should be done now. Let's check. Let's see the net. Okay, there is some error. Skip equals to 0 times. Okay, is there anything in string? This is incorrect. So here, let's just multiply like this, and we'll keep this in bracket. Okay, it should work now. Perfect. Also, one very important thing, we are mapping the products here, so it's very important to give the key to it. Let's just put it in a div and give a key to it. I hope you know about a React reconciliation algorithm. It's very important in terms of that. Console errors, syntax errors, I mean. Okay, so here key, I think it might have ID in it. Let's see. Yeah, ID. It should be unique, of course. So now we will not get the warning, this key, unique key warning. Yeah, this is something else, it's fine, and we are not getting that key warning now. Okay, so we were actually checking if we reach the end, are we making API call? Yeah, we are making API call, but we are making continuous API calls, which is incorrect. I think it just got crashed, and means we are not able to even view the product. So our second step is done. We are making the API call, but the API calls are a lot, right? So what are we doing here actually? Let's try to understand this. So this handle scroll event is listening to the scroll event, and when we are reaching at this point of time, this is getting called, and it's again and again setting the page number, right? And if this state is again and again updating, this use effect is getting triggered, and this is making the API call again and again. So we can actually have a ref here, const is fetching use ref, and we can keep it false. I hope you know that ref will not re-render our component. It will just save its value inside across different renders. So initially, when we change this page, let's make this true. Okay, if this is true, then we will if this is true, we will if this is false, then only we will set the page, and if this is true, means we are triggering this and we are making it true. Making it true means we are setting the page and we will make the API call after that. In this finally, we will make it false again. it will tell us that that API call which was triggered, it's done. So it became false again. So we will come to this point and now it is false. It will again make it true and it will again trigger the page and trigger the API call. So let's see. Let's go to network tab and let's just go very slowly and see if it's working or not. So still it's triggering again and again. I got the issue. So here what we are doing is in products we are directly setting the products, because initially we thought we will try to make one API call first. So what we have to do is whatever second API is returning, we have to merge that products with the first API call, right? So I'll use this function callback for callback inside use state. Previously what was the array, whatever it was previously, let's merge it with result dot products. This is again an array, so let's just spread it here. Let's see now. So initially it made one API call. Let's clear this and let's go slowly to check if it's making another API call. Yes. So skip limit 10, skip 10 means another set of products. From ID 11 we are fetching it again. Let's go again down. Perfect. It's making the API calls in order. It's not actually jumping the page numbers. But still there is one issue. Let's go to the very bottom to understand that. I'll just scroll really fast to get all the calls. I think we have 194 products in total. So I have to go till 190 skip. So yeah, here we are getting 4 products, right? We have given limit 10 and we are getting 4 products from backend. So it means there are no products left, right? So we should stop making API calls at this point itself. So but we are still making API calls. It's empty products, and I think we are still making API calls because we haven't put any condition, right, to stop the API calls. Whenever we are at this point at the bottom 500 pixels above, we are just increasing the page number, but this condition is really important for performance. So let's make another ref is more. Whenever there is a possibility of creating ref, we should try to use that instead of states, because it doesn't re-render the whole component. That's why I'm creating a ref. So is more here. Let's see, we are getting the products here, right? So let's put the condition here. If result dot products length, if the length is less than limit, limit is this variable. If the length is less than limit, let's just make has more dot current equals true. And if this is true, if this is false, then only we will make API call. Perfect. Let's see now. Again, we will go through all the API calls. So I'll just scroll really quickly. We have to go till 190. Let me clear this. 120, 130, it's just adding the products here. Okay, 180, 190. We have only 4 products. If I scroll down, another API call should not happen now. And perfect, works fine. So yeah, I think we have done all the steps. The API optimization part is also done. So yeah, this is how you can build infinite loading. Also, you can of course add the CSS according to how you like it. I haven't done it here, and in the interviews as well, I mean, concentrate on functional part first. This is what is expected, and of course if you have 5 minutes or 10 minutes left, you can add some CSS to this. Let me know if you have any questions. We have not used these two states, I know, but of course we can actually render a shimmer component instead of this if it is loading, and if there is any error, you can show some error screen. That is up to you how you want to show it, but yeah, this is what the main functionality was all about. So yeah, this is it. I'll be coming with a lot more machine coding round questions moving forward as I'm practicing the same. So I'll keep uploading more machine coding round videos. Let me know if you want to suggest any machine coding round question which you want the video on. So I will try to get that. So yeah, thank you. See you in the next video.